Catastrophe strikes in the dead of night. Wooden crypts hiding secrets from sight. Magic thick like the lights they spin, judging faces where their grin so blameless within from sin. Breath of giant breaks the chains of myths. Method tyrants burns the veins of rhythm. Mind bending tension, the end begins. Redemption's fleeting, it's sink or swim. Didn't watch by the truth they hit. Careful steps but the floor splits. Coming to lives with tongues of flame. The game is rigged, we play just ain't no time for debate. Tides are turning, hearts are yearning. Let's sit for a fire more than burn until it's dim. The succubus of the hell given, they'll forget forever in a minute. Bend over backwards for the catastrophe strikes in the dead of night. Wooden crypts hiding secrets from sight. Magic thick like the lights they spin, judging faces where the grin so blameless within from sin. Wrath of giants breaks the chains of myths. Method terrors burns the veins of rhythm. Mind bending tension, the end begins. Redemption's fleeting, it's sink or swim. Sink or swim, 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 Didn't once by the truth they hit. Careful steps, the floorboard splits. Coming to lives with tongues of flame. The game is rigged, but there just ain't no time for debate. Time for debate. Tides are turning, hearts are yearning. That's it, for a fight with more than burning. Till it's dim, a succubus of the hell given. They'll forget forever in a minute. Bend over backwards for this. Catastrophe strikes in the dead of night. Wooden crypts hiding secrets from sight. Magic thick like the lights they spin, judging faces where their grin so blameless within from sin. Breath of giant breaks the chains of myths. Method tyrants burns through veins of rhythm. Mind bending tension, the end begins. Redemption's fleeting, it's sink or swim.
The church preaches compliance. The king commands liberty. The veil is torn. The sovereignty of the soul is absolute. He didn't bring peace. He brought the fire of the unseen realm. The rights of man are not subject to the votes of the majority. Paranormal/history. It treats the resurrection as a breach in reality, a historical event that proves the physical world is subordinate to the spiritual. It rejects the participation trophy theology of modern churches in favor of a rugged, individualistic mysticism. That we do not celebrate peace with tyrants. We celebrate the metaphysical insurrection. Christ is the king, which means I am a subject of no one else. The earth is hallowed, the veil is thin, and the spirit is free. Don't tread on the risen. The Gothic Frontier synopsis for Easter 2026. Easter is the ultimate audit of the state. The empire used its highest penalty, death, to silence a dissident, and the dissident walked out of the tomb 3 days later, making the state's power look ridiculous. We do not celebrate peace with tyrants. We celebrate the metaphysical insurrection. The critique, peace at all costs, is the language of the managerial class, the church bureaucrats. Victory over death is the language of the sovereign. The message, the grave couldn't hold him. Why should a tax code or a social credit system hold you? The non-aggression of the crown. A libertarian king doesn't need to micromanage your life through peace decrees. He simply protects your right to be. It's the old gods of nature recognizing the true king of the spirit. It's an anti-institutional, wild, and ancient freedom. The aesthetic. Think of the green man or the wild hunter of folklore merged with the risen Christ. This is the deep magic returning to a world of gray concrete and red tape. The message, liberty is taken, not granted. The harrowing as an act of decolonization. For the Christian with pagan roots, Easter is the harrowing of hell. In art and history, this isn't a diplomatic negotiation. It's a commando raid. Why it works? It bypasses the peace gaslighting. You aren't asking for war. You are simply refusing to recognize the jurisdiction of a local tyrant because your allegiance is to a higher metaphysical sovereign. The principle of the higher law. In a monarchist libertarian framework, the king, Christ, is the only legitimate authority, which makes all earthly governments and their corporate church mouthpieces usurpers. The message: I answer to a throne that was not voted in and cannot be voted out. The message isn't peace. It's the seated king has broken the chains of the state. A more potent, historically grounded message for a millennial monarchist libertarian would be the sovereignty of the resurrected king. This moves the needle from peace at all costs, which is just a fancy way of saying compliance, to liberty through divine legitimacy, the sovereignty of the resurrected king. Do you feel this peace rhetoric is becoming a way for modern churches to stay politically correct while avoiding the actual moral crises of 2026?
The bumpers bouncing thunder, cold metal in the air. I dance with gravity's punchline. I'm barely aware of the world.
Took the moment, let the lights zoom bright and twirl, pushing through the bumps around the arcade night. Scores rise like comets in a toast to the past. Pinball heartbeat forever meant to last. Past the gates of fire and frost, ghosts and tales of loss. Off to the stars, hear the call of God.
Play field master softly as the cabinet sighs rotting. We pull one more lever under electric skies. Into heaven we drive.
Risk mitigation. The church as an organization thrives on stability. War and civil unrest threaten tax-exempt statuses, physical cathedrals, and tithe streams. By preaching peace at all costs, authorities are often protecting the institution's safety rather than the individual's soul. Here is the breakdown of the privilege and the principles, or lack thereof, behind that specific type of preaching. Chief, the privilege of the neutral institution. When religious authorities preach peace as a vague, blanket requirement, they are often operating from a position of institutional. Eye to eye, this tension often feels like a gaslighting of the laity, where the pulpit ignores the reality of peace. For a libertarian Christian with an eye for history, this peace at all costs rhetoric usually boils down to a mix of institutional preservation and a theological category. Era. For you, Easter is a celebration of universal liberty. It's the day the creator of the universe bypassed the authorities to prove that life, light, and individual spirit are the only true constants. It's a ghost story with a happy ending, a pagan rite perfected, and a historical revolution that never ended. It is the fairy tale made flesh, the deep magic from before the dawn of time, as C.S. Lewis put it, coming to claim its due. It is the art of the impossible, a blood-stained cross transformed into a symbol of light, the aesthetic of the Gothic Christ. As an art lover, you likely appreciate the Gothic and imperial side of the season. Forget the pastel bunnies. Your Easter is found in the chiaroscuro of the dim, lit cathedral or a Caravaggio painting. It's the beauty of the enchanted forest meeting the hello, wet ground, the paranormal event. To you, the resurrection isn't just a metaphor. It's a massive metaphysical anomaly. It's the moment a spirit re-entered a biological vessel and fundamentally altered the laws of physics. It's the ultimate glitch in the matrix that suggests the veil between our world and the next is thinner than we're told. The Eostray connection. You recognize the ancient fertility symbols, the eggs and the hares, as the natural world's way of shouting about the same mystery the church celebrates. The supernatural and pagan echoes. You see the pagan roots not as contradictions, but as the foundation. Easter happens at the vernal equinox, the precise moment when the Earth's tilt brings the light back into balance with the dark. Easter is the ultimate libertarian victory, the individual reclaiming his life from the state. It proves that the soul's sovereignty is so absolute that not even a government-sealed tomb or a state-sanctioned execution can suppress it. It is the "don't tread on me" of the cosmic realm. At its core, the Easter story is a narrative of state versus individual. You have a nonconformist radical who was seen as a threat to both the religious hegemony and the Roman imperial machine. His execution was a bureaucratic necessity to maintain order. Asterisk Gemini.
Turmoil of inner peace. A city of creed.
Raised beds. Plants were often grown in rectangular beds, raised about a foot off the ground with timber or wicker, waddle, to improve drainage. Arbors and trellises. These provided shade and were often covered in climbing roses, honeysuckle, or grapevines. Water features. Wealthy lords installed fountains or small fish ponds, which served as both decoration and a source of fresh fish for fast days. Mounds. Small artificial hills were sometimes built inside the garden to allow people to look over the high castle walls at the surrounding countryside. How they evolved. By the Tudor period, 1500s, gardens became much more elaborate and formal. This was the era of the knot garden, where hedges, like boxwood, were clipped into intricate, geometric patterns resembling knots, often filled with colored gravel or flowers. Gardens shifted from being a source of survival to a massive display of wealth and power. Orchards and vineyards. Larger castles often had orchards, herbers, outside the main walls but within the outer defenses. These provided apples, pears, cherries, and nuts. Many castles also maintained their own vineyards to produce wine for the household. Turf seats. A unique feature of these gardens was the turf seat, low, rectangular benches made of brick or stone and covered with a layer of turf and fragrant herbs like chamomile. Privacy. These were often enclosed gardens, hordes concluses, surrounded by high walls, waddle fences, or thick hedges to provide privacy for the nobility to walk, talk, or play music. Pleasure gardens, hordes concluses. As castles became more than just military outposts, pleasure gardens became popular. These were private, enclosed spaces designed for beauty, romance, and relaxation. The Flowery Mead. Instead of a modern flat lawn, medieval pleasure gardens often featured a flowery mead, a grassy area filled with wild flowers like daisies, violets, and primroses. Kitchen and physic gardens, functional. In the early Middle Ages, gardens were primarily practical. Because castles often needed to survive long sieges, being able to grow food inside or immediately adjacent to the walls was a necessity. At kitchen gardens, these grew pot herbs and vegetables like leeks, onions, cabbage, and beans to supplement the diet of the castle residents. Physic gardens. These were dedicated to medicinal plants. Since there were no pharmacies, the castle herbalist, or lady of the manor, grew plants like sage, lavender, and henbane to treat everything from wounds to fevers. Yes, gardens were a vital part of life in medieval and Renaissance castles. While we often think of castles as cold, stone fortresses, they were also bustling households that required self-sufficiency and provided spaces for the nobility to relax. Ticket.chateauversailles.fr/fr. Here are classic fairy tales that prominently feature orchards, either as key settings, sources of magical fruit, or symbolic places where major events unfold. These are all well-known traditional tales, and several appear in the Orchard Book of Fairy Tales collections. Classic fairy tales involving orchards. Snow White, one of the most iconic orchard moments in folklore, the poisoned apple. While the tale doesn't always specify a full orchard, many traditional illustrations and retellings depict the evil queen harvesting or enchanting apples from her castle orchard before giving one to Snow White. 2. The Frog Prince. In some retellings, the princess loses her golden ball near a well in a palace orchard. The orchard becomes the meeting place between the princess and the frog, who demands companionship in exchange for retrieving the ball. Jack and the Beanstalk. While the story centers on the beanstalk, many illustrated versions place Jack's humble cottage beside a small orchard or garden where his mother sends him to sell the cow. The orchard imagery is common in classic collections. Rapunzel. The story begins with a pregnant woman craving rampion, a leafy herb, from a sorceress's garden, which is often depicted as an orchard-garden hybrid. This garden setting triggers the entire plot. Cinderella. Though not orchard-centered, many classic illustrated versions show Cinderella working in a manor orchard or garden. The pumpkin patch, often adjacent to an orchard, becomes the magical source of her carriage. Beauty and the Beast. Beauty's father plucks a rose from the beast's enchanted grounds. In many retellings, the beast's estate includes a vast orchard of magical fruit trees, emphasizing the contrast between Beauty's poverty and the beast's enchanted abundance.
has no rules. Sunlight has no rules.
Why orchards matter in fairy tales. Orchards often symbolize temptation, Snow White's apple, transformation, magical fruit, enchanted gardens, abundance or scarcity, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, thresholds between worlds, Rapunzel's garden, Frog Princess well, their liminal spaces, half wild, half cultivated, perfect for magic to reach. Appen. Here are some Bible verses that mention orchards. Song of Solomon 4 verse 13. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates with the choicest fruits, with henna and nard. Ecclesiastes 2 verse 5. I made myself gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit, trees. Isaiah 1 verse 30. For you will be like an oak whose leaves are withered, like a garden without water. Joel 1 verse 12. The vine is dried up, and the fig tree is with air, the pomegranate, palm, and apple. All the trees of the orchard are withered. Proverbs 11 verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tray, ye of life. These verses highlight the significance of orchards in biblical texts, symbolizing abundance, beauty, and sometimes judgment.
Cultures in the village widespread and abundant. Amongst the chosen, church is frozen. Vivi Parastani, life is haunted. Lizard wanders past the breeze into a spring offering.
The rocks burn from daisies, wonders on the altar. Counting beetles on us in dos dragões.
Acordes con coprofumes sunt valori. Hasta rimas de tormenta de destino forman un corno brillante. Labirintos no mil olivos sacred size. Stone on my pull diet and pull dice. Stand it, feel into the light.